Everyone. Hello. Let me get myself situated. How is everyone doing on this absolutely insane, what is today, Wednesday? I have not known what day it is all week. All 3 days, I have been confused. And it's like, it has all the craziness, who agrees? It has all the craziness of the week before Christmas, the week of Christmas, but not really all of the festivity or just the excitement of it, like the good stuff. I feel like, I don't know, it's weird. It's just like a bland ass Christmas. I don't know, but has all the chaos of the week of, that's for sure. Oh no, Jenna. So many clients over the last 2 weeks. It's been, I want to say I hear probably 3 clients a day lately have been testing positive. So anything you guys need, okay, shoot us a text. All right, because there's not much we can do, but at the very least, we can keep you company. And we hate seeing you go through this. So if you feel lonely, you need to vent, whatever, you want to, a client uses this term and I love it now. You want to stomp around in your puddle and you need someone to just kind of be there to be a sounding board. We are here for you. I'm so freaking sorry. That sucks. So today we are going to talk about some things to have on hand before the holidays. And it's the 22nd, so hopefully we can get it before then. Amazon's still shipping, and there's a lot of stuff now at Target, which is amazing. So we'll go over some stuff, and then we'll talk some tips on staying on track, because there's a balance, and we'll definitely discuss that. It's not supposed to be that you're hyper vigilant. No one wants you to be obsessive, especially during the holidays, but there's a fine line there. So we'll get into that. And then lastly, we're going to talk to Julianna, who has been with us for a while now. She's in KGG. So we're going to start doing our client spotlights on these Zooms, and we will talk to the lovely Miss Julianna later on. All right. So I think when it comes to substitutes, Meryl and I we've told a lot of people about different substitutes. We've tried a lot of different substitutes. I got my phone. We've had a lot of really shitty substitutes. We've had clients complain about substitutes, but the whole process of this is kind of finding your staples. And some of you have gotten that as a baby step in the past. It's just find your staples, in particular with whatever baby step you're struggling with. But I think that times like this, it's especially important to have that stuff around, not because you should forget about all the other items and you should never want sugar, but because we're not doing this for bikini season, people, even if that is a motive of yours and, out there, we're doing this really so we can maintain our illnesses. So we don't have somewhere really far to come back from because of a holiday that happens every year, so we're going to try and help you in 2 ways. First, in some good suggestions and substitutes. And then second, we're going to talk about the concept of staying on track. And at any point, if you guys have a substitute you recommend, have a question, whatever, in the chat, I have it open right here. So we'll definitely make sure we get to everybody this time. So I just talked a lot, but Meryl, how about you kick us off? What are some of your favorite substitutes?
Excuse my dog barking in the background. Some of my favorite substitutes, as you know, most of you know, I don't live in a very accessible area to a lot of things. So my go-to store is always Costco, which is 4 hours away. Yes.
4 hours?
Exactly. 4 hours one way.
You stay overnight? Get an Airbnb near the Costco.
Yeah, anytime we're in the area of Denver, it's okay, let's just stock up on the things that we need. And for us, that's, again, this is all Costco finds. Beef jerky is a big one. And my favorite jerky that I've found in Costco is actually pork jerky. And it's the best jerky I've ever had. So big fan of all jerkies, but especially that pork jerky. Sorry.
It's okay. So cute. Have you ever tried biltong?
No.
It's like some kind of like air dried aged meat blend. It's like jerky, but it comes in these really tender like strips. So I have textural issues with jerky sometimes where if there's like a lot of like fibrous connective bits to it, I get really freaked out, or if it's very chewy. But the biltong comes like so thin, so you get like a good bite, but it's all tender meat. Oh, it's so good.
That's what I found about this one. They're very thin and just their flavor is, I was like, anytime I've converted my partner to them too, and he's Jewish. Don't tell his dad.
My best friend calls herself Jewish, and she's always like, just don't tell any of my family members that I love pork as much as I do.
And then another big one that I found that Michelle's been suggesting is Brazil nuts. And some people have come to me about the flavor is off. To be honest, guys, I throw them into my protein shake. I'll snack on them. Just a couple goes a long way. Some of my other, again, Costco find Catalina Crunch.
Mm-hmm.
They're at Costco.
Wow.
That was the first time that I've ever had it. I was like a month ago, and I was like, we're getting it again. So
the cereal,
yeah,
nice.
the kind of reminds me of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Mm-hmm. So good.
Yeah. And I'm a savory, crunchy person. So again, Quest chips are up my alley. I'm always like looking for Cool Ranch Doritos. And yeah, Quest chips are my go-to for crunchy, salty Dorito chips. And then, I mean, for me, it's always guacamole paired with those chips, which is
I know I've never even tried that before, and I love both of those things exclusively.
Can't go wrong with them. And then again, growing up, popcorn was a thing throughout the entire year, especially around Christmas. What are they called though? You suggested them. What are they? The puffs.
Oh, the Vienna puffs.
Vienna puffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Popcorn is, naturally gluten-free because it's made out of corn. It is higher in carb, but it's still something that is like near and dear to my heart. So I have to have a little
worth
bit.
It. Yeah.
A little bit of a worth it moment. And then on top of that, I just throw some ranch seasoning on it. And now I have the best.
That sounds so good. And you could even probably like cut the popcorn with it, like do like half and half. So I was talking to a client about this earlier. It's kind of like the hand to mouth part of snacking for me. Sometimes I just want to be snacky and I just want to like continue to nosh. It's not even I'm eating big bites. So I love like cutting something that has a lot of carbs typically with something else that has a lower amount just to kind of stretch it almost.
Yes, I love doing that with like, I do that sometimes if around Thanksgiving, I'll do that with like mashed potatoes and a root vegetable that is lower in carb, or even cauliflower. You can't tell the difference, but you already know that it's lower in carb just by cutting it in half. Yeah.
I love that. Rachel, so cut it with something that is kind of similar. So like the popcorn, you would have half Vienna puffs, which are, I think they're made from chickpeas. They're really good. They're just salty, puffy things, kind of like a cheese doodle, the puffy ones, but without like the cheese flavoring. And then you mix that with popcorn, instead of just having a cup of popcorn, let's say you now have 2 cups of a mixed batch of popcorn and Vienna puffs, but you only had still that cup of popcorn. So it's just, things to kind of cut it with. I love doing the mashed potato with parsnips. So if you do like half mashed potato, half mashed parsnips, and add a little bit of cream cheese to it, you really can't even tell that it's cut down that way because there ain't no replacing a potato. But we can cut it down at least.
I do that same thing I started off the same thing or the same way, cutting regular rice with cauliflower rice because my partner was like, no, I don't like cauliflower rice. Started just cutting it with putting half cauliflower rice, half regular rice. Didn't even know the difference. Now we're straight cauliflower rice. And he's like, feel like this is not rice. I'm like, yeah, it's not, but you can't
finally realized it.
Yeah. Yep. Another one of my go-tos, man, I got to look at my cabinet now. To be honest, I don't crave a lot of sweets, but when I do, it's chocolate. Lily's chips. I feel like I, again, just kind of pair them. Yeah. Those dark chocolate chips that they have is just, I'll snack on those. Like if I am craving a sweet, or my chocolate protein powder, which I absolutely love.
Ooh, which one do you use?
Orgain, I think Becky also uses this one. Orgain, they use erythritol. They're high protein, low carb, high fiber. Costco find.
Love it. I love that. And I was just talking to a client earlier about Lily's chocolate chips. I like the milk chocolate chips because I'm a weirdo. I went to culinary school. I went to pastry. Everyone expects me to be all about dark chocolate and hate milk. No, I don't know. I just like the bastardized chocolate. Like, but this one, the Lily's bars, I really like the cookies and cream one. And I noticed that it doesn't have the same effect on my stomach. I can eat like a half a bar of this and my stomach's not like, I got colitis. Like, what are you doing? So that's always a plus. And good for trail mix. So the Catalina Crunch you were talking about, I've been thinking since I talked to this client about making a trail mix. I'm like, what would I even put in it? Because I want a variety. So it was Lily's chocolate chips, Catalina Crunch. So far that's what I got. So, oh, and freeze-dried fruit, like freeze-dried raspberries.
Yes. Another big one for me, oh my God, I just lost it. I throw basically macadamia nuts on everything. Like just buy them whole, salted, chop them up. They're like crunchy on salads. And I put them literally, if I'm baking like a chicken, I'll just throw like a little portion on top just to give that an extra saltiness. That's a great addition to any trail mix. Macadamia nuts.
Delicious. On Amazon, they actually have candied macadamia nuts that I got, and I was expecting it to be like $1 million for a bag, just because macadamia nuts can be kind of pricey. But I think it was only like $6 for like a pretty generous bag worth, and it's candied macadamias and sugar-free candied macadamias. I'll look and post it in the comments. I'll find the one that I got on Amazon and put the direct link there. Fruity Catalina Crunch. That would be good in trail mix too. Like, you know, they usually have like cranberries or some kind of like fruity component to it. It could be good.
A fun fact about chocolate. Chocolate is high in fat. So keep that in mind when you are like snacking on chocolate. It's like, it's going to make you feel fuller for a little bit. And you get those higher calories without feeling like you're actually eating anything. So that was always a fun thing that I learned about chocolate. It was like, it's a little higher in fat. And that's pretty good for us.
Yeah. Especially if you're struggling to get those calories in early in the day. Sweets go down easier, you know, even if you don't have, if you're lacking a chemical appetite, sweets are a good appetite stirrer, because then your body kind of just asks for more. So before you know it, it kind of opens the door. So even if you're doing something that's like a sugar-free chocolate or whatever, you know, it's satiating and it gives you that little boost in calories, and you don't have to eat a lot of volume of it to get that. So that's awesome trick.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of having chocolate every single day. And I do. Right before my lunch, I have a piece of chocolate. I'm like, yep, this is my, got to do it. Dessert before dinner. That's my.
Join CCA. We tell you to eat chocolate. So
every day. And then for me, it's, again, around this time, it doesn't happen very often, except for that nostalgic feeling of York peppermint patties or peppermint anything. The candy canes that you see hanging on Christmas trees. I don't know why. I don't care how old they are. I'm eating them. I think I researched this last Christmas, and it's kind of stuck with me. I think Russell Stover's has a huge box on Amazon for sugar-free peppermint or candy canes. They're awesome.
I was saying, who asked for it before? Someone asked about peppermint bark. and I think it was Mina was asking about peppermint bark. And you get the Lily's milk chocolate, melt it down, pour it out on your parchment. And then when it's like starting to kind of set up a bit, you put some of the Chalk Zero peppermint chocolate chips. I love combining the two, and you just sprinkle it on so that it doesn't like fully melt. Like you want your chocolate to be set up a smidge. But it's still like to give it that texture of bark. And then you get these sugar-free candy canes, crush them up, and then sprinkle that on top to give it a little bit of that crunch too. And totally easy. You just get 2 bags of the 2 and then some sugar-free candy canes, and it'll look impressive. So you can even bring it with you to holiday parties, and then be like, look what I made for everybody, but then keep it by you and eat what you want. So
cool. And then I had an actual question for you, Michelle. Again, holiday season, big fan of like hot chocolates. And I'm used to making my own, but I use maple syrup. What would you suggest? Either quick powder that's sugar-free, or like what would you do to kind of set yourself up for making a hot chocolate that's sugar-free?
Awesome. So I actually spent so much time the other night trying to find a sugar-free hot cocoa K-cup. I haven't had a Keurig in a while because I don't drink like caffeinated coffee, but I have realized in the middle of this home renovation how much I love hot drinks, in this winter especially. I don't know why. So I have like 5 boxes of K-cups right next to me, all decaf. But I've been looking for a sugar-free hot cocoa. They do not exist in a K-cup. Like it's way too much time looking. But the sugar-free Swiss Miss is still kind of high in sugars and carbs. But it's not quite as bad as the like full sugar one. Like when I say bad, I mean as high in sugar as the full sugar one. Locanto makes a good mix, I've heard. I haven't been able to try it yet, but that looks really enticing. If you're to make a straight up homemade hot cocoa, I like to do heavy cream or a cream of your choice. If you're doing a non-dairy cream though, use some coconut cream in there to like thicken it up a bit. But just when you get regular, I like Hershey's cocoa powder. I know it's probably like shit quality, whatever. No one's gonna submit their hot cocoa for a Zagat star. So just get regular Hershey's cocoa. It's like $2 for a container. And then the trick is to sift it into the cream when the cream is like starting to make like some noise, when it's starting to bubble up a bit. Sift the cocoa powder in and then whisk it, and use powdered erythritol or a syrup. To replace your maple syrup, I love Chalk Zero's syrups. They have one that's like maple vanilla, maple pecan. They have like a ton of different variations on them, and they're so good and actually thick. They're not like watery, like sugar-free pancake syrup. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else I would. You could also add, I saw, is it low carb love or low carb life or something? I follow her on Instagram, and I'm like addicted to her food videos. They're so quick and they all look so good. And she makes, I cannot pronounce it. I'm going to pronounce it like the ultimate gringo if I try, but it's this Mexican hot chocolate that's like incredible. It's not your typical, like you can put spiciness in it, but it has like almond flour. It's made with cinnamon water. It's on her Instagram, low carb love. And let me just double check. Pretty sure.
That
but
sounds amazing.
Yeah. Oh, so good. It looks amazing. I watched this video like 15 times. It's ridiculous. So it's low carb love with periods in between the words. And it's that. So she boils the cinnamon water. Oh my God. Adds her milk, adds her powdered erythritol, cinnamon, almond flour. Can't see what that says. And then blends it. And apparently it's amazing. Commenters confirmed that it's like great, which is what I always look for. Cause like, what if she spat it out right after she took that shot? You know, like this is disgusting. But everyone in the comments were like, yep, it's really good. She also made this like lemon loaf cake that I've watched this once a day for the last week, waiting for my oven to arrive. It's so good. So I highly recommend her account for recipes. They look amazing.
Cool. Just a small smidget of FOMO for you this holiday.
All I want to do is cook. It's so crazy. Oh no, can you guys see me? All right, so it's over to my AirPods.
Cool.
That's
Magic spoon. That's something I have yet to try. I've been, again, just looking at it, staring at it in my like Amazon cart, and I have yet to hit buy. Mainly because my Amazon Prime doesn't get here in 2 days. So I'm like, I can wait a little bit longer.
Oh no. Can you hear me now, guys? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. That was so weird. It just swapped out to my AirPods and they were closed and on the other side of like the counter. Bizarre. But we back. So yeah, no. How long does it take you to get Amazon Prime deliveries?
But let's see. I ordered Amazon Prime 2 weeks ago.
No way.
I'm waiting on my computer charger. That was Amazon Prime.
Oh no. You're like on the new frontier out there or something.
Something. It's something. Well, I also like, we have a PO box. So especially around this time, there's probably 3 people that work in our post office and they're doing 3 towns.
They're probably like inundated.
And I waited in line yesterday twice for over an hour to get into the post office. So yeah, Amazon Prime is not a thing out here apparently, which I'm like, okay, that's fine. Costco's it is once every couple of months.
It's like how our international clients feel.
Yeah.
Like order on Amazon.
What nutrition? Like what is nutrition?
Oh no. Well, I hope that improves somehow because that sucks.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's less consumerism, I guess.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was thinking it's so funny because I had my list of stuff written down, like my favorite substitutes, and we have the same favorite substitutes. So I'm trying to think now some of the more out of the box. Now, by the way, guys, if you have any ideas for substitutes you want us to come up with, like if there's something that you love that you haven't been able to figure out, like a really easy or just haven't been able to figure out a substitute for that item, tell us in the chat because we can brainstorm. This is like my favorite game ever. It's like, how do we make something satisfying? So tell us in the chat. But some of my like off the wall kind of suggestions, I broke them up into salty and sweet, but salty, edamame in the microwave, just like the steamable bag. It's tons of protein. It's really satiating and filling. And it's a lot of that like hand to mouth kind of thing because you're eating it like from the pods. It's not just like eating a bowl of vegetables, which I love anyway, but it's not always the best snack option. And the edamame you can make really nice and salty too. So I love it. What else? I really like prosciutto chips. So you just get like a sheet pan and you put parchment down on it and you lay out prosciutto. Now you don't have to get fancy prosciutto for this. Like just, you can get it from a package. It doesn't have to be like from an Italian deli. You just get your thin single layer prosciutto, put it in the oven at like 250 to 300, and then just watch it. I would say it's going to be longer than 10 minutes, but watch for how crispy they get. And when they look nice and shriveled up and crispy, you can take them out. They're so thin, so crispy and salty, and they full of protein. It tastes like bacon. Like if you were to imagine like a bacon chip, that's essentially what it's like. I love dipping it in bruschetta, you know, the like chopped up tomatoes and garlic and stuff on top of bread at Italian restaurants. So I like getting that in a container at Costco. And then you dip your prosciutto chips in it and it tastes like you're eating a BLT. It's so good. I like if you can get a pickle, like a whole pickle, because in my opinion, if you get the spears or the slices, it's a little bit too watery for this, but you get like a whole pickle and you put on it, you can get pimento cream cheese or hummus or like any kind of dip of your liking that has a little bit of flavor, like a kick to it. And you spread it on, which is the one I use. I forget the name of it. I'm going to post it on the comments, but I have a tortilla that I get. It's actually made from prickly pear. And you put the schmear on the tortilla. You heat it up a little bit, like the dry side in the pan or a microwave, just something to make it a little warmer from the fridge. and you put your pickle in the middle there and just wrap it up. Enjoy. You could also use deli meat instead of a tortilla for this one too. I'm into fried cheeses a lot, but not like fried, like, which is one. I'm going to butcher the names of them, so I'm going to put them in the comments of this post as well, of this video as well. But there's this type of cheese, I forget what it's called. I used to get it at like a bodega or like a little corner market or a grocery store or whatever, in like the like Latin food section. But it's this cheese that you slice it up thin and you just put it in the pan with some butter, oil, whatever, and queso friere, that's what it's called. And you slice it up. And you, I said it quiet because I don't know if it's correct. So you slice it, you fry it up in a pan. It's so good. It gets this like charred outside. I'm gonna drool thinking about it. It's this charred outside and this like melty gooey inside, and it's like a saltier cheese. It's very mild. It's like a mozzarella stick with no breading, but like a still very satisfying outside texture. Obsessed. Sweets. Sweet. Oh, the Quest cookies, the frosted Quest cookies. I'm obsessed. Like, we have to order them. I'm kind of like that with foods though. I don't know if anyone does this. You find a food you love and you eat it to like exhaustion. And then all of a sudden you went from like being obsessed with it and eating like 3 of them a day to like, I don't really want it. Like, just kind of a lack of interest in it all of a sudden. Hasn't happened yet. I freaking love them. But I love the chocolate Quest cookies the best. The vanilla are okay. They're good. They're good. They're just a little sweet for me and a little bit like too artificially tasting for me. The chocolate tastes like if you've ever had a Snackwell cookie, but like soft. So like the chocolate covered Snackwell cookies that have a really like satisfying inside, and it's like fudgy or what? Not fudgy. It's like a drier chocolate cake, but it's like fluffier and softer. So good. Other sweets. I'm really into the idea. I haven't done it because we like just found our bowls and spoons from a box, but I really like the idea of extracts, and I'm going to be doing a lot more with extracts when I am up and cooking again, because I think that, you know, it's just like kind of a really cool shortcut. You could take, let's say, the popcorn idea from before, and you can do a kettle corn that way, you know, and you can get a kettle corn extract. Which one is it? The butterscotch extract on Nutrition. I think you can use any of the ones that they have there when they're the flavor extracts. The butterscotch is good to make kind of like a faux cornbread. It comes across like a cornbread taste when it's in the microwave bread, especially. You can use that for the kettle corn. Just add a little bit extra salt. Ooh, maple orange. I just saw orange butter, and that made me really excited to see. I don't know what you meant, but orange butter just sounded delicious. Yeah. So Smart Sweets is they're good. I'm going to be honest though. Here's my issue with Smart Sweets. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I have to take my insulin calculated specifically to the carbohydrates in something. And I guess I get like a front seat view of what something's doing to my insulin, like what, you know, and that's what we're all looking at here. So long story short, and I hate saying this, sometimes they make my sugar shoot up like crazy no matter what I take for insulin, which is weird. And then sometimes it doesn't. So I don't really eat them too much lately because I don't know how to take medicine appropriately for them. Like I have given myself way too much insulin and then run low blood sugars, or not enough and I'm running high blood sugars. So it makes me worried for those of you who have like severe insulin resistance. I still think it's better than if regular candy. So if you have insulin resistance and you're trying to kick, you know, strong candy craving, Smart Sweets are great for that because they are technically sugar-free. And I don't know that it has to do with type 1 diabetes. It very may well be just because I take synthetic insulin. But I just feel like it's important to note that it's not 100% a fail-safe, because there is that like questionable side effect on my glucose that it's like, it's like the longest answer ever, but I hope it helps. Okay, so I'm going to answer this one here about the high key cornbread mix, and then I'm going to move on to staying on track, and then we'll talk to Julianna. So I love the high key cornbread mix. It's so good. Don't expect it to be like cornbread though, in terms of how much it stays together, how firm it is texture wise. That is different, but it's still absolutely delicious. I've made it, I've just baked it in the oven in a pan. I've made it in a, what's it called? Skillet. Yeah, cast iron skillet. I love them. I've even made them as like little mini ones, and they kind of came out like cookies, but whatever. Okay, so staying on track. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a tough love approach with this, and it's probably not even going to be, you just know that I hate being stern whatsoever, but stop this wait till a certain time bullshit, right? Because we all do it. I've done it where we feel like, oh, I'm so far gone. I'm going to set this goal for myself because for some reason, a week from now is a better time to stop suffering than like now. So I've been there. I want to say that and preface this. This is not meant to embarrass or shame anybody. I have literally been the worst. I would have been considered the worst client in the world for most of my life. So I get it. But why be worse and have more to go? Why do we have to have the all or nothing? If you really think about the way it works, why is it that we can't just have a day where we eat some candy in the office, but not even by accident? You wanted a freaking Snickers, right? So you ate some holiday themed Snickers bar that was there at the office. Why can't that stay just that holiday Snickers bar at the office? And I know this might seem redundant. We've talked about the spilling milk example. We've talked about this a lot before, but I like to put it in the light of holidays because this is the season of justifying worth it moments that only screw us over in the end. Right? So the effort, it might feel like I am stretched so thin, I can't put any more effort in. I can't think about these things. I can't, busy up my mind with more shit right now. And I get that. But when I tell you that life is exponentially easier when you don't also feel like physical shit. So remind yourself, like when it feels like it's that analysis paralysis almost, where it's like, I don't know how I can take on anymore. Remind yourself what's easier. Taking a second, taking a deep breath, kind of recalibrating, texting a coach, messaging in chat, posting on the page, whatever. Let me try and figure this out. Or having 5 days worth of feeling like shit to come back from. So I hate this point because it sounds to me, if I'm being honest, it sounds very much like the diet rhetoric that you see on Instagram. And I don't like that at all. And I'm never going to be disappointed in anyone for eating anything. I don't give a shit. Food's delicious. You know this. But at the end of the day, our illnesses don't give a damn. And I care about you guys feeling better. And whether it's when you leave this program, whether you're with me for years, I want you guys to feel like come holidays, come chaos, come whatever situation that comes up, you still feel like you're in control and you still feel like you're at least pleased with how you're doing. Like, that's what I want. I don't want anyone to feel like they're too far gone, let's say, that they have to put their hope in a faraway date to restart again. It makes it so much bigger when it could just be one thing to chisel away at, one tip, one hack, one small insignificant conversation that could change 5 days worth of dredging through the mud. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to let holiday season control you. You can say, no, fuck that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this year. Like this year, I'm going to enjoy, but I'm also going to reel it in and I'm going to realize like what is really worth it. And can I replace something? Can I make something my way? Because there's nothing wrong with that. If anything, that's the one you're going to pick, right? So that brings me to number 2. It is okay to feed your family sugar-free things. I'm just going to say that. It is okay that if you've always given gluten to your family, that if it's easier for you during the holidays to not have to make different things for every single person, to find a way to make the thing you can have delicious enough for everybody to like. And if that feels impossible, challenge accepted. Text me because I love it, but truly, and I've heard every single argument before. I don't know about artificial sweeteners. Well, erythritol isn't artificial. It's made from fruit. Monk fruit's not artificial. I don't know if they like it as much. Well, try it. Try a bunch of different things, just in general with kids when you're trying to figure out like what they'll eat on the regular. It's not to say it's all the time, but if it's going to help you, it's going to help take something off your plate this holiday season. Pun not intended, eat all the things on your plate. But if it's going to take that off your plate, let it. If it tastes good, who gives a shit? That's my whole thing. And my favorite argument is when people are like, that's not healthy. I'm like, you're not arguing giving your kid coconut palm sugar or dates. You're arguing being able to give your kid like kid stuff. And I get it, but like they're not going to be traumatized if they don't have it all the time during the holidays, and now this is not like a just blanket statement. Like every situation, every child, every parent, everything is different. So text me if you need help with some ideas, some ways to like hide it, whatever. I love doing that. But I would say don't feel guilt over doing it, because how could you be excited about a substitute if you feel like a bad parent because you're giving your kid some shitty knockoff item? How could you not feel that way about it yourself? So I think take away that scariness. Maybe they won't like it. Okay, more for you. But maybe they will. And maybe it'll just be a lot freaking easier if all of you, found some hormone-friendly cookies to make all together. That's still just as fun, looks just as cool, has as so, or compromise. Maybe you put the crystal sugar or whatever that isn't sugar-free on it, but you use a swerve mix, text me if you want more elaboration on this, because I hate making like a parent blanket statement, because I'm like, oh no, it's so different for everybody, but it's still worth figuring out and trying. All right. And then my third tip for staying on track: when you find yourself making blanket statements of your own, how many times do you guys walk around the house when things are going crazy, or the office, and you just start saying, I gotta remember to call Dr. Weeson to refill that script. Oh shit, I gotta call that person. I gotta check that tracking number. Was I supposed to get that package now? This is confusing. This is a busy ass, stressful ass time, right? Stop walking around and just claiming out loud all the things you got to do. No wonder you feel overwhelmed. All of those things don't have to get done right this second. And all of these things, like, do you remember the convo I did a while ago about trying to get to the bottom of the pile? Don't try to get to the bottom of the pile. In life, there is no bottom of the pile. It is more shit every day. We got to figure out, we got to get through, we got to navigate forever. That is life, unless we are living on a remote island and all of our bills are forever paid and all of our food is presented to us at the same time every day. Unless you're living that life, there is no bottom of the pile. Every day there is something new put on your pile. So if you think about it as I'm working to get to the bottom of the pile, you're going to feel like you're always kind of just spinning and working and not getting where you want to be in anything. But if you stop and you remind yourself and say, okay, I have a shit ton to do. Let me list it out. The most important things will pop up first in your mind. And, this is beyond the planner or whatever, just in general, whenever you get stressed. I did this earlier. Get a piece of paper and write, it could be a napkin, and write it down. The most important things will pop up. And then you can look at this and assign a time. You can say, okay, I have to do X, Y, and Z. Do they need to get done today? No? Okay. Do I need to do them tomorrow? What's my week looking like? And when do I have a day that I kind of is like lighter than others? You can budget your shit that way. You don't have to think all the time like, oh my God, I have so much to do, because we all do all the time. There could be things for all of us to do. And it's so overwhelming when times like this happen, the holiday season, and you've got other people to worry about and include and all this stuff. It is going to be so easy to be overwhelmed. Make sure you take a sec. Remember your tools and your techniques from this. If you need a reminder, hey, what would be a good tool to use? Text us, but stop and jot down all those things running around in your head, okay? Do it as much as you need to. And surprisingly, you'll see how that will kind of trickle into what you do here and keeping on track. Because you won't feel like, how could I possibly think of my baby steps right now? I have done 73 different things and feel like I've accomplished nothing, and now I gotta eat. That won't feel that way. You'll just be like, okay, I got my stuff done for today, or okay, I have some stuff to do before bed. What am I going to get to eat? Same situation, same amount of shit to do, whole different vibe. All right, so I want to know before we bring Julianna up, thoughts about this. Thoughts about this part, staying on track, which I don't even like that term, but I think it's important this time of year because we're human. Biggest takeaways from that topic. Go ahead, tell me in the chat what your biggest takeaways are. Quote unquote, staying on track. I am all or nothing, and I didn't realize you don't have to be all or nothing. Yes. Oh, I missed some here. Okay. Don't check my last text because it's okay. Don't worry. The more you push it off, the worse you will end up feeling. Yeah. I told you my pile. Yep. You don't have to do everything at once. You just have to plan it out. I am not driving the ship. My brain and my to-do list is, and I'm not realistically organizing the priorities. Yeah, guys, preference is something that gets overlooked so much. You can just, you become a much more efficient person when you work with your human nature versus against your human nature. If you're someone who, likes to get things done a certain way, but you feel like that's wrong, no, throw it out. It's too stressful trying to be a way that's not natural, right? So you do not have to be all or nothing because most people are not all or nothing. They're usually just driven by anxiety to be all or nothing, So just remember that. Keep that in mind. Like, I'm not doing badly. I'm just doing badly at trying to do absolutely everything at once, which anyone would do badly at. Not getting to the end of the pile is okay. Yeah. It's just a rolling thing. How many of us you have a mortgage, right? That's a debt that you have for how many years? It's rolling debt. No one tries to no one's really stressed trying to pay off their mortgage. I don't want to piss off my mortgage either, but no one's trying to oh my God, I got to pay off my mortgage. You just kind of accept that that's always going to kind of be there for a while, right? Which sucks, but whatever. So it's kind of the same thing with our day to day. The pile never ends. It's just kind of a rolling thing. So, okay. Let me make sure I have all my questions here. All right, and then I'm going to. Okay, so hello, lovely. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Did you go lighter recently with your hair?
A little bit, yeah, I think.
I love it. It looks great.
Thank you.
So, Julianna has been with us for a while now. You're in KGG. I'm really excited to ask you these questions if I can get them all to load. Hold on. Okay, so tell us a little bit just about you. You can tell us where you were at when you started, kind of how you were feeling. Yeah, give us a little intro.
So I guess a lot of my adult life, I've struggled with chronic fatigue, chronic pain in my body, and just really feeling like a sack of turds is the only way I can describe it. And one day at work, I was scrolling through Yahoo and I saw this article from Women's Health Magazine talking about Michelle. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I really resonate with this. So I looked her up on Instagram and immediately sent her a message. So whenever we first started talking, I was struggling really bad with depression and self-esteem and just a lot of areas of my life. And then it was kind of a no-brainer to me whenever she was like, well, you know, come on, let's do this. And my body was and my mind were so hungry for a change in my life that it was just like a no-brainer. Just like, okay, do it. Just fire the gun. Let's get it going.
I love you were like off to the races. I remember I say like my needy clients do the best is what I say usually. And if you're not needy, by the way, you still do just fine. But it's like a little saying just to make people not uncomfortable about reaching out. And I remember you were like, oh, I have no problem reaching out. I'll text you.
I will multiple text you.
So for you, once you got started and stuff, what was the biggest shock about CCA? Meaning like what you learned or just how different it was? Like what was shocking to you?
So the biggest shock to me was and still is to this day, my first baby step was cutting coffee out. And I was a multiple cups a day coffee, getting lattes with extra espresso in it. And I just quit cold turkey. Like I did not wean myself. I quit cold turkey and I was like, everybody's going to want to murder me and put me in the psych ward right now. But I just switched to hot tea. And I mean, I didn't have any sort of, oh God, what is the word I'm looking for? Like
withdrawal?
Yeah, I didn't have any sort of withdrawal or anything like that, which I was shocked at that. And within the first couple days, I could tell a difference in how the pain in my body felt.
It's amazing. I love, it's so funny. Sometimes we have clients who are so like hungry and ready to go that it's like we give them that baby step and it's kind of like a punch in the gut because they're like, really? Like, that's it? And I'm like, oh, don't worry. It's not nothing. So, it's interesting for those who have not heard this whole spiel yet. When you drink coffee, especially in the morning, it alters your cortisol schedule. So the cortisol you're supposed to release in the morning when you wake up, supposed to dwindle throughout the day, then pick back up, then dwindle again, pick back up, then be out dwindling to out of your system by the time you go to bed so that the melatonin kicks in. It can put you into a deep enough rest and you can regenerate the way you need to before the next morning, the cortisol wakes you up again. But the problem becomes that with regular coffee in the morning, it'll push off that cortisol schedule because your body recognizes the stimulant effect of the caffeine as the cortisol dose for that morning. So then you kind of become dependent on it to even wake up in the morning. And then it doesn't tell your body not to release the cortisol dosage it would. It just pushes it off. So it goes way into the night. If you can fall asleep, you're just not getting deep sleep. So all that was coffee. So when people hear that as their first step, they're disappointed, but it's a huge difference, right? Like you notice your inflammation went down really quick.
Mind blowing. And I mean, that's still the most shocking part to me to this day.
Mm-hmm. I love like surprising first baby steps. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we have to be careful because it'll push a client away and then they'll think it's such a simple baby step. I don't know if you've experienced this, honestly. It seems like it's such a simple baby step. It's almost like harder for them to take it seriously as much. Mm-hmm. Because it feels like if you recommended something like cutting carbs or whatever, you'd take it to a T. But something like coffee, it's like, but yeah, you were like all in. You're like, yep, cutting it out. We were like, why don't you just wait 2 hours or switch to decaf or, and you're like, nope, it's out of here.
Yeah.
So, what do you think has changed your perspective the most since being in CCA?
Oh, goodness. I think my perspective has probably changed the most because obviously being in this, community of all these women who have like the hormonal imbalances and, chronic illnesses, you don't really, at least I didn't see how big of a need and how, I guess, for us normal that is. And I didn't realize that there was that many people out there like me who were going through these things. And just like, I literally met in person someone the other night for the first time in my life that has Hashimoto's. Mm-hmm. Like literally she was just telling me about it and I was like, listen, we got to talk. And so it's it's different. It changes your perspective because it's not a small community as you think it is. It's bigger, and there's a lot more people out there that you can relate with, instead of feeling like you have to be doing this and experimenting and going on this journey by yourself. You can have a support system of people from, not even where you live, someone that may be somewhere in the United States or even somewhere international. It's just, it's a lot bigger than I ever thought it was.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I can't wait to do meetups. I feel like maybe I have to stop saying that, because every time I freaking start talking about meetups or retreats, it's like there's a new wave that comes through, and it's like, never going to happen. Well, I don't want to affirm that, but, it's a lot. It's a lot of us. And I've thought about this a lot. I often reflect back on some of the things I thought when I was younger and I was really unhealthy about my own image, but my mental health was really struggling. Was I never wanted to be that typical image of like the fat, mean, miserable, exhausted, like woman, like the Roseanne Barr and She Devil or something. If you've ever seen that movie, I love that movie. But like, that's such a thing, like a stereotype that exists. And I hated it. And then I really thought about it. I'm like, how many of them got PCOS or Hashimoto's? Maybe that's why they're so damn tired or mean or just having issues, is because you don't know what someone's going through. And this is so common that it's like, it's just such a mind, when you realize like, we can be so much kinder to ourselves and so much more forgiving to ourselves, because we aren't as weird as, maybe we're weird, but we aren't as like doomed as we think, or alone rather. I love that. So how do you still make this fun?
I'm definitely all about experimenting with, vessels. I'm a big, I will try any sort of gluten-free cracker.
Mhm.
I'm still trying to learn, and it's been over a year, cauliflower rice. It's a texture thing for me. I'm
Mhm.
still trying to get on board with that. If I'm thinking of something that I'm like really craving, I always text Michelle, because she can come up with fun little recipes that aren't like super difficult. Like I was like, gingerbread. I love gingerbread at Christmas. And so I bought the Swerve white cake mix, and she suggested to get the gingerbread extract. I haven't made them yet, but I'm going to this weekend. And so I'm super pumped about that.
Yes.
So it's just like trying new things. They may not turn out good, and you may not like how they taste, but I like to look at recipe ideas and kind of just make it up as I go.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
not a recipe reader. I'm just
Yeah, no.
no.
If I had to work off a recipe, this is why I'm like, I suck at writing recipes, right? Because if you ever see a Michelle recipe, you know how many people have worked on that recipe to get like, I don't know, measurements, or like, what it should look like, times to bake it. I'm just such a fly by the seat of my pants type of chef, I guess, because I'm just like, if I have to read a recipe, I will get overwhelmed. It will be like, in my mind, I have to set aside time. I have to like make it a whole big to do. But sometimes it's easy. Just think of the vessel. And those of you who are new, vessels, I would look this video up in the classroom. It's a really good one. But vessels are basically anything that carries the flavor. So pasta, rice, bread, whatever. Usually it's paired with something that carries that has flavor for it to carry, where the vessel itself is kind of bland. It's kind of the base, so vanilla cake isn't bland, but it could be taken a million different ways. So you use that as the vessel and you add your own flavor to it, because it's such a mild base. You can kind of zhuzh, is my very technical term. You could zhuzh it up that way. You can add a different flavored frosting to it. You could, there's a million different things you can do just from a simple box mix, which whether it was hormone friendly or not, you could do, So I love that. That's awesome. Tell me how those gingerbread things come out. They still,
Oh, I will. I'll post a picture.
all of you better send me pictures of your food. Okay. I'm gonna eat with my eyes this year.
Yes.
So how do you remember to reach out if you're struggling? I know it's easier for you because you're outgoing, you're social. Did you ever feel kind of like embarrassed or shy or worried to reach out about something?
I think the only time I have felt, I guess, ashamed, not that I would even really call it that, but more like, oh, hanging my head a little bit, is because when when I was going through my divorce, I was, drinking quite a bit of alcohol.
Mm.
And so, that really messes with you. And I still, have trouble cutting it back sometimes, but that was probably the most. It's just like, listen, I've been drunk like 4 nights this week, so like, help me.
Were you shocked by my response? I was like, mix it with half seltzer. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't like, don't do that. It's bad for, because like, look, you wouldn't be texting me about it if you didn't know, if you thought it was good for you, like, what do I need to sit here and be like, meh, 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 but, I think that's a very real thing. As anybody else dealing with that around the holidays, especially.
Yes.
Just alcohol between the parties, just between the almost the justification behind it, because it's the atmosphere, and then you supercharge that with stress and it being cold and being, well, in most of the places of the people of us on here, you factor in it being dark earlier. It's just, there's so many different reasons why people drink more, especially regardless of divorce or anything like that, in the wintertime. So yeah, I could definitely give you guys, if anybody wants any alcohol tricks to stretch it or replace it or whatever, love it. Text me. It's my favorite. Best tip. And then I got 2 more questions for you and we'll be at the end here. But what's your best tip to anyone else in CCI?
Probably the tip that I would have to go with is, do not be afraid to reach out, just because I know I feel annoying half the time because I will literally blow Michelle's phone up.
Never.
But she's always like, please don't apologize. Like, I love this, but if you are struggling with baby steps, or, is this okay to eat? Like, I'll text her menus of if I'm going to go somewhere, and she'll be like, okay, well, what do you think, is gluten-free? A lot of places has it marked now. But I know for me, it's a struggle of figuring out the lower carb options, but just really don't be afraid to reach out, because they're here to help, and they don't mind at all. And if you feel ashamed to, or nervous to reach out because you feel like you're going to be annoying, well, then you need to reach out, because obviously you need to learn something or ask something, and then that can help you in the future. And don't be afraid. I spent a lot of my life I guess muting my own voice and needs. And so it's like, you reaching out when you need to, when you really feel like you need to, that's you taking charge and taking back, your own life.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. And, I think it's also too, we always keep in mind what a big thing it is to reach out to someone, because growing up, I never had anybody to reach out to about this stuff. Anybody I would talk to would be like, oh yeah, that's rough. Like, they wouldn't know what the hell to say, or they'd tell me some random advice that wasn't, right for me or whatever. So it kind of just got like put into my head that when it has to do with this stuff, especially dieting, how embarrassing. Why can't I just not eat this stuff? Why can't I just know what to do? All of that shame, all it ever did was like keep me from working with myself, working with what I needed, figuring out and problem solving the things that were tripping me up, because I was too busy being embarrassed about ever having a problem to begin with, but that's who you're texting, like whether it's me, whether it's Meryl, whether it's Sophie, whatever the case may be, you're not texting anybody who is going to determine their response based on how good you're doing. If anything, I use this example a lot. You don't want it to be like you take your car to the mechanic, but there's nothing wrong with it. Like obviously, if you're taking your car to the mechanic, there's something we got to work on. So don't be afraid to like let the mechanic look at the car, and if you get embarrassed, send an emoji. We'll know what to do. So now let's do this because I realize how over we're going here. But what do you feel like the biggest mental and physical change has been for you?
My self-confidence has really gone through the roof. I used to only wear baggy clothes and never wanted to show my body. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror when I would like get out of a shower because it would make me so depressed that I would go into like a mental breakdown. So self-confidence has gone up.
And now you're sending me all your Shein finds. You're like, look at this outfit. I'm like,
yes. I literally a couple weeks ago, I wore a crop top out and I was like, I'm never going to wear one of those. Here I did, wore a crop top and it was backless. So,
Oh, okay. I see you with that napkin.
Yeah,
okay, rock it out.
But
Love it.
that was huge for me because even when I was like a twig in high school, I didn't even wear stuff like that. Just because, still struggling with the self-confidence issues, but also mentally, when the biggest difference when I started the program, I was very, I guess, more timid or not. I don't think that's the right word. I was definitely underspoken and did not stick up for myself or for what I needed. And, not just with baby steps and stuff, because we've worked a lot on, my mentality and stuff like that, especially from going through a divorce from abuse. It's like I found myself again. And so this is the most I've felt like myself in probably ever. And then so that would be mentally, and then physically I can like look at myself in the mirror and be like, oh, hey girl, like, what are you doing?
I love it. So every week we want to do this because we want to show you guys just a range of clients that we see and we work with. But Julianna, I was really excited to have you be our first client spotlight to kick this off. Just because, while everybody is different, I feel like Julianna could talk to anybody and make friends with them. So if you have any questions, I'm sure you'd be open to that as well.
Yes,
definitely
reach out if you have questions.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing with us. And as always, I'm super proud. And sorry guys, I'm just realizing that we're at an hour. But I hope that this was helpful. I hope this was kind of a good regrouping before we go into the craziness of the next few days. Remember to reach out, and then Meryl, if you could update us on our holiday hours, so when we'll be in or not.
Absolutely. So, let me get hopefully I'm not paused. So Michelle and I talked about this back in near Thanksgiving. So I hope that what we discussed is still a go. So we will be taking no calls Christmas Eve, Friday the 24th, no calls on Saturday, and no calls on Sunday the 26th. But that does not mean that we are not available to text. So please make sure you're reaching out to us on especially Christmas Eve and the day after Christmas. Obviously, you can reach out to us on Christmas. I don't remember if we gave time limits. I know we did on New Year's.
If it's like an SOS thing, send an SOS with it. And then still it might be a little bit delayed getting back to you. But send it anyway, because we will get back to you guys. Like once we're back in office, we'll be able to go through and just kind of answer in the order in which we receive them. And it's important because if it was a struggle, you ever try to keep notes for therapy or a doctor's appointment that's like a week away, it's just not the same thing. So text us in the moment. Don't be embarrassed if we see that raw emotion, because then if anything, when we do get to it, we'll have clear level heads to be able to problem solve through it. So it's still important that you bring it up. So thank you guys. Happy holidays. And yeah, take care. We're here for you, proud of you. And do we see you in the new year? Whatever. See you soon. Bye.